Morning, everyone. Matt Rogers, Indianapolis. Godcast 10. Running out of fingers. Today, we're going to talk about Psalm 19 and a whole series of Psalms that are very illuminating in the way that we can pray to God, the way we can view our lives with God, and the way that others see ourselves as we develop this relationship with God. So, a very important psalm with a couple of important pieces to it, and I want to break it out today. So first, I'll read the scripture itself, talk about what I think God has on my heart to talk about, and then I will close in prayer as I normally do. Try to keep this in 10 minutes and not make it too unwieldy. Okay, here we go. This is Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech, they use no words. No sound is heard from them, yet their voice goes out into all the earth. Their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The decrees of the Lord are firm, and all of them are righteous. They are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. They are sweeter than honey from the honeycomb. By them your servant is warned. In keeping them there is great reward. But who can discern their own errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgression. May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Pretty awesome stuff. And I think David is just worshiping God here. He's just proclaiming how majestic and how powerful and how true God is, and how wonderful it is to have a relationship with him. Because David has seen so many things in his life that is absolute testament to what God is, to what the truth in God's prayer is actually the truth in David's life. And so that's an amazing thing. That's a powerful thing. And the more that we walk with God, the more we too will be able to see all the amazing things that David has seen and just profess them without even thinking about it. How great is that? How great will that be? To just know confidently in your hearts that God is this force that not only has he created all of this wonder of the world, but he also cares deeply about our lives and every step that we take in them. The noise you hear is my family waking up, so bear with me. So the first part of this Psalm 19 that I want to break out is this idea of a hidden fault. What is a hidden fault, and why is David asking about it? A hidden fault, I believe, is something that is so innate in us. No, I haven't fed the dogs yet. See what I mean? Within the family structure, that's how we do these. So a hidden fault is something so innate in us, so absolute about our personalities that we've long lost consciousness of it. It's just a part of us. And it's been enabled our whole lives. No one's really called us out on it. Nobody's really stopped us in our tracks and said, hey, you may want to consider the way you approach life this way. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement for somebody to say, but still, it has happened. And for me, that was always sarcasm. As I grew up, I always kind of found it difficult to find my way into crowds, and, people were pretty quick with their words on me, to kind of put me in my place and things like that. I was always kind of the younger one running with the crowd. And so sarcasm for me was a way to sort of be humorous, was a way to be protective. It was a way to just keep myself positioned. And so, as the years wore on, because it was mostly humorous and mostly kind of witty, I think people kind of thought it was okay. I'm not going to say they outright sanctioned me. They didn't hey man, your sarcasm is amazing. You should keep going with that. No, it wasn't quite that, but it wasn't anything that I think was truly hurtful. Okay. But it did have that degree to it that where I could just cut people into pieces. And that was a well-honed skill that had taken years and years and years of application to get there. And I didn't fully realize the damage of that trait until I got married. And I know that I would be in arguments with my wife and I would go right there. I would go right to that sarcastic edge and hurt her. And she was the one who thankfully brought that to my attention, said, listen, we can't continue this way. You can't use your sarcasm as a means to get yourself out of situations, as a means to address issues with me. And I was thank the Lord for her, because I finally have kind of laid that down. It's not a piece of my arsenal that I cling to with all my life. And I think that's what it is. I think that's what these hidden sins are things that we have in our arsenal that we use to protect ourselves as a survival mechanism. When someone encroaches on our turf, it's like, where do we go to? What do we do? How do we defend ourselves? And if you mix it with the right amount of congeniality, then some people don't even see it as a problem at all. They see it as a strength. And people pat you on the back for it. Wow, way to go. Way to go. The way you slammed that person so succinctly. It's like, what? I did what? And so for me, marriage and other truths have been revealed that way. Things that I never thought about when I was younger. I never thought about as I was kind of growing in myself. But that to me is kind of a hidden fault. And I think as we become closer with God, He'll reveal that to you. He'll reveal that you don't need that crutch. All you need is Christ. And when you use Christ in those times, you'll find that you don't then have to spend like days apologizing and reconciling and writing very long apology letters to people, because Christ is all we ever need. And Christ is about love. Christ is about truth, but He's also mostly about love and tenderness and gentleness and these fruits of the Spirit that we've discussed. So think about that. Think about those aspects of who you are that can drive people away. And that's what I believe a hidden fault is all about. Okay. Second piece is willful sin. What is a willful sin as opposed to just sin? Sometimes I believe willful sin, and there's plenty of people who have discussed this topic, but willful sin is just something that, and the definition of willful sin is something that we have a devotion to, and we don't care about what the back end of that is. We just have an intention to do something. We have an intention to do something on our own. And there's plenty of things in my life that I just want to do. I don't view it as damaging or destructive, but I just want to do it. And if I just want to do it and it's all about me, well, then it's clearly without God. And if it's without God, then it surely has some kind of impact on somebody that maybe is invisible to me, but is there. And so it's that kind of willfulness that David is saying, purge me of God, purge me of any activity, of any quest, of any pursuit that's without you, where I just put you to the side and go all in on something. Because doing that enough times, right, is just establishing an identity that is not linked to God. It is not linked to His grace, to His wonder, to His transformative love. And so I think David is just saying, God, just take this from me. Take these needs from me, because if it's apart from you, then I don't need it. I don't need it. It's just something that's from my flesh, from my old creation that I'm clinging to, that my body won't let me let go of. And, I say like, well, how do you know? How do you know this is willfulness? How do you know this is the type of thing that you want God to take from you? And I think we know because somewhere along the line, it has a detrimental impact to somebody. I don't know what that might be sometimes. It's hard to know. But if you really are alert to it, if you really pay attention to it, see what kind of impact it has. Are you in an argument because of it? Are you having cross words with somebody because of this activity or this pursuit? If you are, that's that willfulness that David is talking about. My daughter's calling to me. So I'm going to close this in prayer really quickly. Thank you all for bearing with me. It's been a wonderful morning. My family's arising. Okay. Oh God of all, thank you for protecting us as we learn more about what keeps us from being more in love with our life and those in it. Here she comes. We know it comes down to ourselves. We are the door through which a life of absolute freedom, hold on, babe, can present itself. We only want our words and our ways to be pleasing to you. All of it, Lord. All of it. We want all in, not mostly in, not conveniently in. We want all in, God, because that's where it's at. Meaning, peace, and joy is coming from being all in with you. Thank you, everybody. I love you, everybody. I must sign off. I am needed.